Meantime, the House of Representatives yesterday passed a bill to suspend normal trade relations with Russia. It's the latest effort the United States is trying to take to put some more pressure on the Kremlin for what they're doing in Ukraine. It was an incredibly bipartisan vote, 424-8, and now it heads to the Senate. Lisa McClain, the Congresswoman of the 10th District, joins us this afternoon here on the Guy Gordon Show to talk about that. Congresswoman, nice to have you with us. What went into your vote in deciding to vote for this? Was this kind of a slam dunk for you?
Yeah, it was a relatively easy vote to implore economic sanctions on Russia. Unfortunately, from my opinion, it's a little too late, but we could have done this way back 4 weeks ago, but obviously it was a bipartisan effort, and economic sanctions is what we got to do right now. And the harder they are and the tougher they are and the more teeth that they have, hopefully the sooner this war will end and the Ukrainian people will be free again.
This action has come just on the heels of Vladimir Zelensky addressing Congress. What was that like for you? The message that he gave, and then obviously both audioly by the words that he was saying, and then by the visuals that he played.
Yeah, Chris, it was really an emotional half hour. He addressed us, was very thankful, but actually he asked us. He said, "Listen, we need help. They don't want our troops and our boots on the ground, but they do want help to defend off Russia." And then he played a very emotional video that showed, if anyone watched it, but it showed the Ukraine and people happy and vibrant cities. And then it compared them to after Russia bombed them, just the devastation and the homelessness. And, it was extremely graphic. And I can tell you there were a lot of tears that were shed, and a lot of empathy that was felt for the Ukrainian people.
So the bill that passed yesterday suspends normal trade relations with Russia. What else does this bill accomplish?
That's the biggest thing that it does, is it suspends normal trade relations with Russia. We're hopeful that other nations jump on board, because at the end of the day, it really takes two things to fight a war. You need to have people to fight the war, and then you need to have money. And we don't want to put American, or at least I'm not in favor of putting American troops into Ukraine right now. So the best thing to do is sanction them and hit them where it hurts and hit them economically.
I certainly don't want to put the cart before the horse, and I think my thought on this is probably pretty much in lockstep with every American, is you want to make Russia pay in every facet possible. You want to make sure they feel the world's...
Feel the pain.
They want, yeah. And I think that's fair. But thinking about long-term ramifications of this, what does this do to our ability to talk with Russia, negotiate with Russia, talk about, world things? Because this is a world leader we're talking about. So world power. A huge country with a lot of people and a lot of power. So what does this do for our future relationship with Russia?
Well, first I would remind the American people that we aren't dealing with a logical human being. We are dealing with an evil dictator that, quite frankly, is a liar. If anyone watched his speech today and the propaganda that he used, he had a rally today in Russia, and it's just a blatant, bold-faced lie. So even to use the word to negotiate, it's very difficult to negotiate with these people. They don't think like we do. They don't think rationally. And right now, economic sanctions are the best way to cripple Russia. We've got to put an end to this war. It's not going to make it easy. There's no question. But we're dealing with a dictator. So dealing and negotiating with a dictator, that's never going to be an easy play unless the dictator gets what he wants, when he wants, and how he wants it. Right now, we have to lead, and we have to be strong, and we need to lead from the front.
I don't know if you heard Arnold Schwarzenegger's message to the Russian people on this. I want to play you a little bit of it. But, why Arnold Schwarzenegger is coming out and saying this, I don't know. But he had a pretty straightforward message to the Russian people, to Vladimir Putin, particularly to the soldiers that are in Ukraine fighting on behalf of Russia. He had this to say in cut two. Listen here.
The Russian government has lied not only to the citizens, but to its soldiers. Some of the soldiers were told they were going to fight Nazis. Some were told that the Ukrainian people would greet them like heroes. And some were told that they were simply going on exercise. They didn't even know that they were going into war. And some were told that they were there to protect ethnic Russians in Ukraine. None of this is true.
I think that's a pretty good summation of the messaging or the framing of this out of Russia. So how do we combat that now?
He's spot on. And all the briefings that I've had, it is lockstep in what they're saying. And that just shows you the power of propaganda and the power of the media. It is critical to have truth, transparency, and some consistency with the media. And you can't always believe what you see and what you hear. You have to dig down a little bit to find the truth. But it's an extremely scary proposition when they flat out lie to their people.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said that he's going to work quickly to move this bill through the Senate. I imagine with the tremendous bipartisan support in the House, this is probably going to make its way through the Senate and then to the president's desk. Do you have any idea, or have you heard when this is going to make its way through the Senate?
I think it'll be within the next week. It'll move very quickly, very quickly.
What else is potentially on the table as you keep your ear onto the ground on Capitol Hill? What else could be coming down the pipe?
I haven't heard much else coming down the pipe other than continued to ratchet up the sanctions, but we don't get a lot of inside information on what those sanctions are going to be. I know what we're trying to do right now is put pressure on other nations to participate with us in the sanctions of Russia. I know the president, I think we all saw and heard that he had a meeting with President Xi of China to ask him to please not help Russia. So really the whole world is watching right now, and no one likes a bully. And that's what you see. And the reactions on the world stage from other countries isn't getting a lot of support for Russia. In fact, it's getting very little support from Russia. And that sends a message to our adversaries is, listen, we do live in a global economy, and we all have to play nice at some point. And playing nice and playing fair, since we live in a global world economy, is a lot better and a lot more prosperous for all nations when we do that.
Sure. Congresswoman Lisa McClain, thanks for some of the time this morning, for the insights. Appreciate it.